Welcome to Katie Bird's Nest. I am Kate, and this is an Artist Way video. This is Julia Cameron's book, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. This is the last video. This is week 12. I've been dragging my feet on this chapter. It's been 5 weeks, and it was several weeks that it took me to do week 11 as well. It was months and months. I've been having a lot of trouble finishing this since last year when my mother passed away in February of 2017, and the 1-year anniversary came around, and I was like, I have to finish these last 2 chapters, and it's just been pulling teeth to finish it. But here we are, week 12, and week 12 is recovering a sense of faith, and I made a ton of notes, so I'm going to be looking down a lot to read these. The sections of week 12 are trusting, mystery, the imagination at play, and escape velocity. For trusting, Julia Cameron says creativity requires faith. And my takeaway for the trusting section is go back to doing affirmations. You know, in chapter 1, the I am statements, doing mantras and that type of thing. She kind of explains the law of attraction in this section. She says, the universe will always support affirmative action. It is the inner commitment to be true to ourselves and follow our dreams that triggers the support of the universe. That's pretty much the law of attraction, in my opinion. One thing that I found in this section is that she predicts our lives to be characterized by spurts of abundance and long spells of droughts. And I didn't really understand that little kind of paragraph part because, each person is on their own path, so not everybody's droughts are going to be as long as everybody else's. Someone who's kind of more on point with their goals and their law of attraction affirmations is going to be more productive. So I didn't really feel like, why was she predicting and kind of blanket saying everyone? Yes, of course you will have droughts, but she was pretty much saying long periods of time of droughts, and I don't think you can say that for everybody. I might have really long droughts, but other people, I would imagine, don't have as long of droughts as I do. So the next section is mystery. And mystery, it's the idea that ideas need time to develop. She is talking about creativity begins in darkness. And I like the example that she gives. She says, it's like gardening. You don't want to pull up our ideas by the roots to see if they're growing. It's pretty counterproductive. You want to give them time to come into their own. And there's more kind of in the mystery section, but that's the gist of it. You want to mull over your ideas and let them kind of percolate and develop over time. So the next section is imagination at play. And it kind of seemed like the entire purpose for doing artist dates was the imagination at play. The idea that your hobbies are necessary for a joyful life, just for fun. Even things that aren't hobbies are helpful for that sense of play, like little upgrades. For me, I bought a napkin holder. I've moved into this house rental, and such a hassle. The kitchen is so huge, and to go all the way over to where the napkins are, and then all the way back across from the island into the dining room. I just want a napkin holder in the dining room table. I went to Big Lots, and it cost a couple of dollars, and I got this nice little wrought iron looking, little foam pad things on the bottom napkin holder, and it just, every time I look at it, I feel a little bit more like an adult. It just makes me happy every time I look at it, and it was this cheap little thing. It's not a hobby, but the little things that you kind of go about. She had mentioned oh, there's dead plants on the patio and you change them out, and just those kind of things. It's not a hobby, but what else did I have for like decluttering? She had said something about like finally throwing out the mismatched socks and just getting them out of the way. When I moved into this house, I went through all my clothes and was like, I'm not gonna wear these anymore. And actually today I went and dropped off a bunch of bags of clothes at Goodwill, and then some kind of household things that I just don't use anymore, and they're just taking up space, and it felt so good to get them out of my space and into the hands of someone else who could put them out there for other people who could use them. And it's definitely not a hobby, but slowly my environment is changing, and it's my life is changing because I'm making these small increments. And that's part of the imagination at play. And I can look back through my planners and see what I was doing 6 months ago, a year ago. What were my, what was I spending my time on? What hobbies was I doing? What things did I want to buy? What did I buy? Those little things that improved my life. And slowly over time, through my creativity, I've become more towards who I want to be, and it's fun to see that. So the last section is escape velocity, and this is the test. It's the one thing that tests us to throw us off track just when we are about to reach our desire. And Julia Cameron's answer is to hold your intention within yourself, stoking it with power. I'm assuming it's, your desire to write a book or to paint a painting or to, get down the choreography for a dance or something, whatever your creative pursuit is. She says, keep your own counsel, move silently among doubters, only voice your plans to our allies and to name our allies accurately. Set your goals and set your boundaries. She's saying, don't tell everybody what you're doing, and to all of the people that are going to criticize you and that are going to put you down, and you want to tell the people that are going to be supportive, actually supportive. And you might take some time to have to kind of sit down and really dig through who those people are, because you might think someone is supportive, but they might kind of, in a backhand sort of way, not really be supportive with their comments towards you. You might not want to share what you're actually working on, because you might be in that mystery part of your creativity and working on, the whole stoking the fire and the power of your idea. And the idea is germinating in the darkness, and you don't want someone else pulling up your plants, So that was chapter 12, recovering faith. So for my check-in, number 1 is doing morning pages. Number 1 is always doing morning pages. Oh, I should probably talk about tasks. Where is it here? Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to do, a couple that are just kind of easy that you are drawn to, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll do this one. And then you're supposed to pick a couple that you really don't want to do, because those are probably some that you need to do. But I feel like I did most of these. One of them was mend any mending, and I have things that need buttons and hems done, but I don't want to do it. I want to drop it off somewhere and pay someone $10, maybe buy that hem tape that you can get at Joann Fabric or something. But I didn't mend any of my mending. Let's see. Repot any pinched or languishing plants. It is spring out here in Portland, and so my husband and I did a bunch of gardening, so that was easy to do. And it was fun. It was kind of reinvigorating to repot some plants and buy some things. And but yeah, I mean, you just kind of go through the tasks like all the other weeks. So for the actual check-in, I did not do my morning pages every day. Again, this took 5 weeks to do this chapter. I would sit down and like finally read through it again, kind of every week. I would do it once a week or twice a week and then be like, oh, I have to do a video, and then I just wouldn't get around to it. I was so busy making doctor appointments and moving and all the things that just go along with that. Have you accepted them as a permanent spiritual practice? No, I haven't. And I don't envision myself doing them every day going forward either. There just isn't enough time for me to do that. How was the experience for you? During the actual course, when I was going week by week by week, and I was solid on doing the pages every day at the beginning and most of the way, probably up to chapter 5 or week 8 or 9, it was really helpful. I mean, really helpful. And I recommend trying to follow the course exactly as it's intended. You know, I highly recommend trying to do that, because that was where I got the most intensity and the most out of the course once I was taking time away. Even, 2 weeks, like past taking 3 weeks to do one chapter, I felt like is a longer time than it should be, at least for me. Let's see, what was the next question? Number 2, did you do your artist date this week? Will you allow yourself these on a permanent basis as well? What did you do? How did you feel? What is that, number 2? So I've fallen off artist dates for the same reason I've fallen off morning pages, because I don't have time. And with my planners, I feel like my artist dates are like, I go buy little things for myself. And, I do the little things around the house, and those things kind of make me feel happy. It's not necessarily taking care of my artist child the way you're supposed to on an artist date, but I do feel like my artist child has evolved over the course of the book. And yeah, it's just, I feel like I recharge and have fun without having to like time block 2 hours to specifically go on an artist date. And I know the more I do with that, it probably the better it would be, but I don't feel like I have time to, 2 hours, I'm going to go to a museum by myself. Like, if I'm going to go to a museum, I'm going to go with my husband. I don't really like to go to bookstores and browse, because I don't want to buy a physical book. I want to buy a book on my Kindle, or an audiobook. I don't want the physical books all up on my shelves, unless it's like an amazing book. But I would usually read it on a Kindle first, read an ebook, and then go buy it if I thought it was really, really good. But right now, I'm trying to get rid of books that I have so that I have less clutter in my office. So one of the things I wrote down as far as artist dates is that I do allow myself to paint my fingernails and I do allow myself to watch a lot of YouTube videos, because I do, when I'm sitting down with my planner, my computer's there and I just let the videos run in the background while I'm planning, and then I'll paint my nails and let them dry while I'm working on writing prompts, and between writing prompts I'll put on another coat of nail polish. And for me, I feel that it's important to keep up on my hands and lotion and keeping them nice and clean and manicured, and my nails are pretty short right now, so it's kind of hard to paint them because I get paint all over the fleshy front part of my nail. But I feel like those type of things kind of fulfill that artist date for me, because it's downtime. I'm having fun picking the color. Sometimes I do water marbling, sometimes I put little stick-on gems, and I don't know, it feels like fun. So that's kind of where I'm at with the artist dates. It's just, I don't really have time to put in like a big artist date every week. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily have time for that. I couldn't imagine having kids and trying to fit that in, to get away by yourself. You have a whole family and you work full time and you're trying to do your creative thing as well. I mean, pretty lucky I don't have all those things I still can't feel like I fit it in either. Okay, anyways, moving on. Number 3 in the check-in is synchronicity. Any synchronicity this week? Nope. None for me. I don't feel like I usually have any in general, so that's not really new. Number 4 is other significant issues for recovery this week. And this week is about recovery in the sense of faith. And I got all jazzed up about making a faith planner this week. And if you watched the haul video, you would have seen that I bought some supplies for it. I bought a packet of faith stickers, and actually I bought a tube of washi at Michael's that was on clearance that is not in the haul video. And there's 7 washi rolls that are all faith washi's. And they're the only ones I have, and then I bought the sticker book that's in the haul video that there's faith themed stickers, and then I put together the faith planner disc bound journal, like planner. It's not really a planner, but you know what I mean. And it's all put together. I just have to sit down and use it. So I kind of got that started. So the last 5 weeks of thinking, oh, chapter 12 is faith, chapter 12 is faith. It's just sort of, I don't know, maybe it was the mystery and the darkness of this idea of doing a better faith planner than I have been. My idea is to kind of, Wednesday night was always considered confirmation for people when I was growing up, and thought, well, maybe Wednesday night I sit down and do something faith planner related for an hour on Wednesday and just kind of schedule that Wednesday, because I don't have any reoccurring appointments on Wednesday otherwise, so just kind of slide that in there. So we'll see how that goes for the next month, but that was my significant other thing that happened for recovery. But that's it. That's the book. There is a contract. You turn the page and there's this creativity contract, and it's affirming your commitment to morning pages, artist dates, exploring hobby, and a weekly accountability buddy. And then there's a place for a signature and a date, and I don't get into like signing these, and I'm not going to be doing any of these things, so I'm just leaving it blank. So to wrap up, I guess, for the entire workbook, I recommend this workbook, and I intend to go through it again, maybe sometime next year, maybe in the fall again. I believe I started in the fall last year, so I don't know, like I definitely want to go through this again, see what I can get out of it for a second time through, and try to get through 1 week at a time and do the whole book in 12 weeks. I don't know if I'll do videos for it because it does take a little extra time then, but we'll see. Definitely going to do the book again at some point. What else did I write here? Yeah, some weeks I took longer than a week, but I'm glad that I put in the real work to get it done, that I stuck to it, and I did, all the exercises and, worked on the tasks that I picked out. And I do feel like I've gained a lot. There was the week that stood out the most they're like 2 weeks. Week 4 was the reading deprivation week. And people can have a lot of trouble with that week in general, just because of the nature of that week. If you work and you have to read at work, or if you're a news junkie. I'm kind of a news junkie. I just no news on the phone, in the phone apps. If you're a big book reader, or just reading your email, the whole shebang. I went I went all out and I didn't read a single thing. I mean, I listened to a lot of music that week. But I felt like I did really well. That once I got through that entire week, that was an amazing week for me. But I tried really, really hard to adhere to no reading, like zero reading as much as possible. The other week that really stands out for me was actually week 2. And week 2, like I did week 1 and 2 before I ever posted any of the videos. And week 2, I was like, I am not doing this book. This book is not for me. And it was the whole Crazy Maker thing, where she was like, you are part of your Crazy Makers. And I was like, no, I'm not. And it was just, it was like, oh my God, I'm not doing this book. And that was one of the things, like, I just had to kind of learn and grow and work through the book. So I don't know if anyone else is doing this, or if you're just kind of browsing to see who else has done these weekly checkups and, you know, this book in general. But if you want to leave a comment in your experience with any of these, your weeks that have stood at the most for you. But yeah, this is it. This is the end of the series. I do have one other book recommendation. This is another Julia Cameron book, and I used this every once in a while when I was going through the other book. And this is The Sound of Paper, starting from scratch. And these are like little essays. You know, they're like a couple pages long, and then there'll be like, there'll be like a little part where she it's not homework, but it's kind of like food for thought sort of thing, and it gives you kind of a jumping off point to journal. And because it was only a couple pages to read and it's a smallish book, I would sit down and kind of write, you know, for however long I felt like writing. So this felt like a nice companion book to this. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you for coming along on my journey, and no matter how old this video is, please feel free to comment.